Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is rebuild these hinges. So what I got here is some worn out hinges from a 68 Mustang that I bought. Let's see that. I don't know if you can see it. It's easy to feel though. Quite a bit of gap in there. The other thing that wears out on these hinges is it has this little spring and roller that holds the door open for you. And this roller is supposed to roll along this kind of cam shape here. And what happens is that roller just turns into a slider at some point, quits rolling, and it just wears it away to nothing. So that's no good. And then the upper hinge, this one's even obviouser that it's fucked up. That has like a 3/8 pin. I think it's a little under actually. 350. 450. And it has these little bushings in here that kind of disintegrate. Now you can buy new hinges, but they're kind of shitty. They look like this. I didn't buy this. This came with the car. But this is the replacement for the lower hinge. So this guy replaces this guy. They're about the same weight, but a little bit different design. This has already got quite a bit of play in it, considering it's brand new. So those are going to go in the junk pile, or I'll sell them on eBay to somebody that doesn't know any difference. But so what I'm going to do to these guys is kind of clean them up, sandblast this. Pop this pin out, pop this off, pop this pin out, and then I'll ream this hole and put a pull pin in there. Like a hardened dowel pull pin. So what I can do is then I can bolt these to the door, bolt the door to the chassis, and then get everything aligned like I want it. And then to get the door out of the way, I don't have to take these bolts out, I can just pull these pins out. So there'll be a pull pin in the lower here, and a pull pin in this one, so I can just pop those off, and then the door will come off in one piece with the hinge. This piece will stay with the car. This piece will stay with the door, and then no matter what I do, it'll always be aligned. So I won't have to fiddle futz around. I know some people like drill little holes in here and then try to, fuck, it never works. It's not gonna work. Because the distance from where this pivots to that hole, to the end of the door is like a 50-to-1 ratio. So if you're, 0.02 of an inch off here, you're going to be 100,000ths off over there. That's not good enough. So that's never going to work. But once you bolt this guy in place, it's friction and the bolt loading that's holding in position. That's not going to move. And then whatever slop is in this pin hinge mechanism, that's going to be the same. So pulling the pin out, put the pin back in, that won't change that alignment. The other thing I'm going to do is get rid of this spring. I'll put a stainless steel spring to replace it. And then I'll probably make new pieces of this guy. I'll CAD this up and have them water jet out of stainless as well. So I won't have to worry about paint on that junk. So may have these powder coated too, I don't know. I'll probably put a bearing on this instead of this. This is always our failure mechanism, right? I've had early Mustangs before, and this is 100% common. It's usually only on the driver's door, but this is the passenger side, so it happens. It happens to both of them. So maybe we'll get a little McGill bearing, like a threaded bearing, which is why I'm gonna have to make a new piece of this, right? Because that bearing will be a different diameter. So I have to work that all out, but it shouldn't be a big deal. And then these will be nice. And you can see that it was chopping a hole through itself. Not ideal. Alright, so I got all this stuff apart. I'm gonna go ahead and sandblast it and get it all cleaned up. And yeah, we'll order some pins and bushings and we'll do the other side at the same time. Okay, I got these mostly cleaned up. There is remnants of blue paint on some of this stuff that, yeah, like this came off a car that had a turquoise paint. Okay. Not sure what that means. Probably nothing. So I need to get these bushings out now. Just thinking about whether to buy a bushing kit, which is available from just about everybody. But looking at these hinges, these are pretty wobbly for brand new and sticky. I'm not sure I'm happy with that, so I may just forego all that and make this thing proper. So very tapered hole. Forite barely fits on this side, and it's a swimmer over here. So yeah, we're gonna have to tune this up. Like I said earlier, everything in this car is gonna be metric, so this is a good opportunity to put some metric pins in there. Why should it be different? So we'll measure this all up, come up with a plan, order some bushings from McMaster Car or somebody like that. And then these things are kind of beat up. I don't know what all these little dents came from, but we'll dress this up pretty. Machine that the right size, put a bushing in there, maybe a Zerk fitting. How about that for an idea? And then yeah, we'll reassemble this guy like probably some of the Ford engineers would have wanted it to be. Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is rebuild these Mustang hinges. So this is the lower hinge on the right hand side of the car. So this is the side of the car, and then the door, the bolt's on the front of the door here, and then when the door opens up it swings out. Let me show you how this contraption works. So I ordered just a standard rebuild kit just because I needed these guys, which I'll show you what this is in a little bit. But basically this has like a little push pin with some knurls on it. It slides into that hole, and this is like super floppy loose, not even trying to be precise. So that goes on there like that. Stay. And then there's this thing, which pretty sloppy loose again, and doesn't have a nice finish. I can tell you this is a turned finish. Pretty crappy. So that goes right here. And then there's this little spring that goes between this little hole and this little hole. So when the door is closed, that spring is like in here. Like that there. So when you open the door up, I'm going to take the spring out here because it's going to tip my vise over. So that's with the door closed. So when you open the door, it goes over this little detent and crunches the spring, and then goes back down, and then goes over another detent and closes the spring, and then, so that's the door fully open. And actually, this isn't supposed to stop it. This is just supposed to hold the door open. There's actually a little piece of the casting over here that actually stops it. So, all this stuff is kind of terrible, and the pins don't fit very well. Right, this is the pin for this guy, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's just not good, and this surface finish is shit. It's just gonna wear out again. So, and I knew that when I bought this kit, but maybe I'll sell it on eBay, whatever. So what I did is I went to McMaster Car and I got some proper bushings and some pull pins. So a pull pin is a dowel pin, hardened steel dowel pin, but it has little holes in here, or a little threaded in here, so you can put a screw in there and pull it out. So, and this is a little bit bigger. This is like 420 thousandths of an inch to go into here, and this is 435. So I got two opportunities. I could either drill this bigger, or I could stick this on my lathe and take, you know, 15 thousandths off of this, or a little less. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet, but it doesn't matter. Either one will work. But this has got a nice finish, and you see it's nice and tight. So that's going to last a long time. The other thing I did was, instead of having this thing, which is just going to wear out, is I got a little cam bearing. So this has little roller bearings inside of it. So I'm going to put roller bearings here. And you might be thinking, which is what I was thinking, was this teeny little shaft is just going to break when the door gets to the end. This doesn't stop the travel of the door. It's not supposed to anyway. There's this little detent here and here that stop the end of the door motion. So, but I might go through, if I don't just make new ones of these, I may just go through and make this a little bit less abrupt, right? So it can ride up that a little bit. It'll still hold it where it goes, but then the only force that's on this little bearing is the spring force, which brings me to my next kerfuffle. Because the other problem with these door hinges is they just get painted, like they paint the whole thing. And so all this stuff gets gummed up, including the spring. So I got a stainless steel spring, so that doesn't get gummed up. Like it's the same size essentially as the original spring. So should be fine, but it won't be painted. I will remove said spring, paint everything, and then assemble it. So I do need to make a few things though, right? So this is interesting. This is the left hinge. Got a hole for the... Oh, look. The driver's side, it just sawed through the whole thing and it's not there anymore. I think we're going to need to fix that. Maybe Wile E. Coyote style. Okay, so first thing we need to do to make this guy, to ream this out for the new bushing, is we got to establish a center. Now I could indicate the center, but it's still got to be, you know, perpendicular. So just indicating the center won't quite do it for us. So I got the biggest pin that I could fit through here, and it's kind of boogered up, so I had to kind of clean that up a little bit. So I'm just going to throw the pin. This is a gauge pin, so this is made for measuring purposes. I'm obviously not measuring something with it, but you can use them for other stuff. So that fits on there nice and tight. One thou bigger doesn't go. Don't go quite to the bottom. So let this guy kind of float in there. Like that. And then tighten up the vise. Now when you do that, it's not going to be perfectly lined up. So you may have to go back and move it a little bit until it I mean, the x-axis should be good, but the y-axis may not be, so you may have to like adjust it a couple of thou till it slides through there nice. So, and you can kind of look at it from the side and see. Well, that's pretty close. So I think that's going to be good. We'll set that at 0. Lock down our axes. So now I can just go through there with a reamer. Well, I'll drill it close. I'll drill it within, 5 thousandths or so. Whatever the closest drill is. This is 11 millimeter, just under 11 millimeter. So 11 millimeter hole. And I just happen to have an 11 millimeter slightly dented 11 millimeter reamer. So, but I'll go through there with a drill first and then ream it, and then these things should be a nice press fit. So that's plan A. Plan B is, of course, buying a new set of hinges. That would work too. Beautiful finish. Okay, that hole is pretty far off center, but that's the way it was. Pretty sure it's going to be fine. Okay, so next on these hinges, I pressed this guy in. I mean, the other one doesn't have a hole, so I can't press it in there. I'm not sure what the deal is, but we'll find out. So I pressed this in, and then I indicated to the center of it with my, indicator. Okay. So now it's on center. So now I'm going to drill a hole in it and make it fit this guy, which is, this is a 5 millimeter shoulder and an M5 by 0.8, I believe. Put that right there. And then this guy will just thread in. Allen wrench. Boop. And then I'll have the Z distance, because this is already indicated in, so I already have the Y distance, sorry. And then I'll do the same thing on this guy, and I'll match the distance from here to here. I'll match the distance from here to here, and drill it and tap it, same as that one. So, and we'll have cams. Well, we'll have cam rollers. Okay, since this was all kind of ground to shit, I decided I would just build up some weld on there, and then I'll take my flap disc to it, make it flat again, and then I'll drill the hole in it, because yeah, it wasn't going to be at the right height anyway, so, and this will kind of tidy it up a little bit, so it'll make it look nice. Okay, so there's the other half. That's after I kind of cleaned it up with the flap disc. It's not perfect, but none of it is. So anyway, I just have to tap those by hand, and then I think I'm ready to assemble the lower hinges at least, and then I have to decide what I want to do on the upper hinges, whether I want to do the same bushing thing or use the stock bushings. Okay, still working on the hinges. So, since I'm putting a flange bushing in 4 places, The original bushings were like 50 thousandths thick flanges. These are 60. So I have to compensate for 2 more flanges and them being slightly thicker. So I have to take the width of this thing down by about 1/8 of an inch. And there's enough undercut here that I think I can do that, but basically what I did is, this is the hole I just reamed. I put an indicator on here to make sure it was straight this way and straight this way, and it's within 2 thousandths, which is pretty good. So now I'm going to take this end mill and I'm going to cut with the side of the end mill. I'm going to cut this face and this face, and then when I push the bushings in, the width of this will be the same with the bushings as it was before. Basically, I'm using up this little extra flange that Ford, I'm sure, left that on there so they didn't have to cut all the way down here. Okay, so I'm fixing to get ready to press all this stuff together now that it's machined and stuff, and I'm contemplating using these brass bushings and these pins for the top ones, and the reason for that is I have to shorten something to make the double flanged bushings work, right? And this is sheet metal and sheet metal, so maybe that's okay. I take 30 thousandths off of here and here and here and here, and then it'll be fine. But haven't decided to not do that. But looking at this pin that was supplied with the kit that I bought, like that's going to go in there like that, and then the bushing is going to be up there like that. So I don't know if you can see that as well as I can, but if you push this thing all the way through, this bushing is going to be chopped up by that when it rotates. And this is the pin that came out of it. See how the knurl is, 3 millimeters long instead of 8 or 10? So this is why you can't just bolt stuff together anymore, right? They supplied this pin, and this is probably the right pin for the lower hinge, but not for the upper hinge. It's just not. So if I'm going to use this, which I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I think I'm probably just going to use this, but unfortunately I don't know how to count, and I only ordered 8 of those and I need twice that many. So that's why I was contemplating doing this. And then the thickness of this was like also a little bit concerning, but I think if I just take it off of 4 places, it won't be that big of a deal. But then I started looking at this going, well, if somebody just threw this together, which 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I would have just thrown it together. I wouldn't even have thought about it. I would have just said, well, that's the kit, must be the right thing. But no matter what you're working on, you have to make sure you check, because people will sell you shit and you can't return it after it's assembled. It's too late then. It's just going to ruin your hinges again. And this is kind of why I'm doing this, is because I've rebuilt hinges on Mustangs before and they last 1.5 years and then they're no good anymore. Well, maybe this is why. Alright, so there you have it. I'll just do that to the rest of them. And we may have some hinges soon here. Okay, so I got this thing kind of assembled. I just put a little weak spring in here just to show how the cam mechanism works with the cam roller. So this is when the door is closed, so it's not fighting the latch. Okay? So all that is not supposed to move the cam at all. It's supposed to be on an arc. Close enough. And then this is your first detent. And then that's all the way open. And at that point, this thing here is touching, so it can't. So this isn't keeping the door from going over center, but it kind of holds it. Okay, so all of you old as me remember Sesame Street. Which one's not like the other? Which one is not the same? So what we have here is, I think this might be an aftermarket door. It looks awfully rust-free and clean and whatnot. So, and this one, not so much. But this one's also red, which means it might be the original door, because that car came with a red interior, but it was white, so checks out. This one, not red. So, but here's my problem. This hinge goes on there like that there. And the clearance right here is, you know, ample. You get all the bolts in. It's got 1/4 inch of clearance. However, this guy, it won't even go flat. And the reason, and I've known this for many, many months, is this radius is too big. I measured like the distance from here to the bowl hole, and that seems reasonably close, within 1/8 of an inch or so. But this radius is much bigger than this radius. So I think I'm just going to have to get a pokey body hammer and just kind of tap that in until this guy sits flat. So, maybe like that. Right now it doesn't. I could also put a little chamfer on the inside of that, but I mean, this one and this one are mirror images of each other, and that one fits fine. So it doesn't seem like that's the problem. It seems like the door is my major malfunction. This one has a lot less rust on it though. Okay, so remember when I said I was gonna wait and make a decision on whether I'd use these brass bushings that came in the kit? Yeah, I think this made up my mind for me. It doesn't even press in. So I'm just gonna throw this together until I get the more bushings, I just machined these guys down just as a temporary placeholder. So I'll push these bushings in, and then I'll have something to mount the door. It'll be good enough. But I'll go ahead and you know, do it fancifully like that for later after I get the parts. But for now, this is going to be good enough. Wow. Just wow. So this is the rebuilt one. The pieces I bought. And this is the rebuilt one. A little bit different. Thanks for watching. If you like this content and want more, subscribe, like, and share.